fantastic.
And then there's another connection in the other room called D's Bananas. Let's see. Check. 1 2 1 2. Yo, this is me talking into the mic. I am saying things into the microphone, going out into the world. What?
Oh, okay.
All right.
This is brought to you by the new shiny jeans?
Oh, yeah. Well, then technically, I guess this makes it our opening rant before I say don't flush the toilet.
You are now tuned in to the Crappy Awesome Podcast.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
All right. This is Tanjint the Wiggy Woo. We're here on Crappy Awesome Podcast from PlatformCollection.com. I am your guest host today, and this is our second interview. I'm talking to Kill C. Ray, the proprietor, entrepreneur, visionary, engineer behind the machine that is Platform Collection.
Yo. By the way, I thought of a title for this podcast.
Okay.
You know, I like to title them.
Yeah.
The End of the World with Arash and Kill C. Ray, because today the world was supposed to end. Did you know that? Did you know that? Like that meme going around September 23rd was today. And then the dude who predicted it was like, I meant like around September 23rd. He already changed it, I heard. It's like some Mexican... like psychic.
Brujeria? No.
Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah, I think it was like but a famous one. And he was like, September 23rd, the world's going to end. Okay. So, but mind you, this is September 23rd that we're recording this, and we're not out of the day yet, right?
So there's suspense to this.
There's suspense. Like, dude, do you buy in on it if North Korea tests their nuke today? If they test it today, are you like, okay, shit, he might have been on to some shit?
Now we're in the ball game,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
you gotta kind of give it to him, right?
You can't not think about it.
Yeah.
You can't not consider it.
Yeah.
That's true, man.
Thank you for doing this, by the way, man.
Absolutely, man. As I told Arash, but I do not mind reiterating, you guys are my commute buddies. You guys are in my head when I'm in the office.
Yeah.
And you guys are one of the voices of the community, and we really appreciate that. And so it totally makes sense to me that people ask about you, and not everybody's just going to go to episode 0 and episode 1 to go check it out. You know,
I hope they do with it.
Right, I feel like that about early art too.
Yeah,
and so it's really an honor to have a chance to kind of shed some light on Kill C. Ray and Arash to the people, the many fans of Platform Collection. Something I know I write reviews and stuff about the scene.
Yeah.
And so balancing being a curator of the scene and also being a creator yourself.
Yeah, shout out to Juicebox, by the way.
Thank you so much. Juicebox.com with King Dice.
King Dice is my boy. We got big things coming with him.
The episode with him is a fantastic episode.
Yeah. Shout out. People, if you don't know, Platform Collection has some big things coming. We got a lot of things planned for that.
That's awesome. I know he always wanted to partner up.
Yeah.
And... what was it? So I wonder how you think about that balance of being a curator of the independent artist community while also being a creator yourself, and how you approach about that.
I think it's tricky, man. I think you have to you have to be completely aware of it. You cannot ignore, because I see people. I think if I have to critique any of my peers, I think a lot of the curators tend to try to almost hide the fact that I'm also an artist and this is benefiting me.
Yeah.
This is benefiting me.
Sure.
But the way I prefer that it benefits me is kinetically.
Yeah.
I'm not seeking it. I don't do this is the reason this was a big deal for us is because I don't really like doing interviews.
Yeah.
I'm not that comfortable with it yet.
Yeah.
But I understand being around energy that's active will have some effect on you no matter what. And the more of a part you play in that energy being created, the more effect it's going to have on you. Thus, the effect it has is on my personal career in the long term. Nobody can define that right now. You guys, nobody has any idea what's going to end up, where Kill C Ray is going to end up as an artist.
Right.
Right? There's no way. You can't predict it.
Right.
Yeah, like, there's people, I'm sure, that think like, oh, he just wants to have, he wants to stand next to the artists that are popular or whatever. And the answer is yes, I do.
Sure.
Because that's the type of artist I feel that I am.
Yeah.
So why would I not want to be successful at doing it?
Yeah.
She say she want that goodness, state of mind, fresh to death, we not in decline. Pray the Lord we don't lose this time. Break the mind, we all told that line. Yeah, in the take back, we gon' break backs. We manifest premier tracks, we outcast. That's 3 stacks, that's revolution, that's new facts. I'm Southtown, I'm 3 clacks, that's strong arm, that's Dago Dawn, that's history fam, that's nothing wrong now. On that evolution, new, stay the course, that's new. You, I spread the love, that's you, boo. We percolate, we bubble over, spaced out, we Mars rover. The end of you start over, you fall over, I'll crawl over. Revolution, I'm all soldier, front line till the sunshine comes back around for all time. We all grind and we all grind. Clotheslines, they drip and dry. Respect the craft, that's more than mine. Need more than rap, we don't have that time now.
Start, peel the layers of the pain from your heart. Hear what we saying. If the change is going to start, peel the layers.
I can tell you this, and I think we've proven this, and this is something like I think we're all super proud of, is even the shows we throw, look at where Kill C Ray is on the flyer. I put myself where I think I deserve to be. Like, that's just real shit. There's times where, like, I can tell you, like, Soul Providers, right?
Yeah.
Dude, shout out to Soul Providers. They're like family to me.
Yep.
But when we first started out, I definitely had more pull than Soul Providers. Soul Providers is hot right now.
Right.
Their name is bigger. If I'm on a show, I'm probably putting them after me. Just because that's what makes sense. Like, you have to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of curators that are in positions like we are blur that up. And look, dude, if you are not, if your peers don't acknowledge the best work that you're doing as something that they like, they're behind it, at least they respect it. If you don't have at least those things and it's not obvious, it's not blaringly obvious, you can't book yourself next to the headliner. You know what I mean? Like, if you're even if you're throwing the event.
Okay.
So the way I look at, like, events like that, that's how I look at everything having to do with platform collection versus my personal career. My personal career inside platform collection is I'm the editor at large.
Right.
Eddie runs the show, though.
Right.
So editor at large was me, and I requested that because I don't want to be tied down to just platform collection. Because there's times that I'm speaking as an artist, and then there's times that I'm speaking as a business person. There's times that I'm speaking as a curator. There's times I'm speaking as, a host, a journalist. And I think for me, the way we've approached it has just been 100% honest about it all the fucking time. Like, all the time. You know exactly what we're doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to challenge you to try it. Like, do it too. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You should be utilizing every part of your talent, every part of your creative mind.
Yeah.
And use it for whatever it is that you're doing. You decide that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, the philosophy at Platform Collection is we're not curating what we feel is the best music. We're curating what is happening. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
The listener is going to decide what the best music is. Yeah. I'm just betting on, like, a sociological thing that there's an ear for everything that we put out. Yeah. I believe that. So for someone to say something doesn't have its place on Platform Collection, or you can't say that. Yeah. Because that's not what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just reporting what it is. This is what's happening in our scene, and it's amazing. You know?
That delights me, man. It's like the people you've really collected people. You know, you've collected a bunch. You have this amazing collection of artists. There are regulars and then there are less regulars. You know, but you have this collection of art.
There's like tiers. I think it seems like it feels like there's tiers now of
friends of the show.
Friends of the show. Yeah. People who pop in all the time. People. I mean, you're definitely becoming one of those names that gets mentioned on shows.
Right.
I mean, you know, because there's, as a listener, you know, there's like characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. And you're narrating this story, and people can follow along. Even like Arash and I were just talking about, like real moments will happen to you guys. You know, throughout this, and I know that your new podcast that I've been listening to, the
Failing Forward
is you're trying to do different things with it, with how you interface with us.
Yeah,
and it's exciting. Honestly, man, I don't know as much what. And I think this kind of jives with what you were saying earlier, that you don't think of yourself as a political person. It's like your stance, like what makes you tick, isn't obvious.
Yeah,
you know. And I wonder if you can enlighten us a little bit about like what because you're very passionate and you're very driven, and it's in a million directions.
Yeah,
you know, you're passionate about your art. You're passionate about helping other people. You're passionate about spreading a positive message of acceptance of a lot of people. You know, so it's like what are kind of some of the guiding things that you think connect all those things with you? You know?
I think that I think to be fair, it should, like, as I've gotten older and like gained more knowledge of self, I realize that part of it is not necessarily my choice. Like, part of it is like ADD. Part of it is like the constant need to be doing something and the constant feeling of being on the clock. I feel it constantly. It's part of like it has its good sides and bad sides. So there's that. So sometimes I think what the public is seeing is sometimes it's just that. It's just like, damn, this fool just cannot sit down. I don't have any fucking chill. And so on the flip side though, I also feel like when it comes to business, right?
Okay.
Like when it comes to my family and my friends, what I believe in saying yes way more than no. I believe in giving way more than receiving.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy. That's not for an unselfish reason.
Right.
That makes me happy.
Right.
That's what I like.
Right.
And so in my personal, it's just about giving. I think that makes me feel the best. But in business, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Period. I know exactly where I want to take Platform Collection. And I know that is based on what I feel is the greater good. And it comes with a large amount of my own personal sacrifice.
Yeah. So
So if I'm going to put my personal sacrifice, I appreciate the opinion, but this is my dream.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when people buy into what my dream is, I'll fucking take a bullet for that person.
Yeah.
Because they're first they opened their mind enough to try to see that there isn't an ego attached to this. It's just not. Because what's the point? Like, what would be the point? To me, I'm just trying to make the best place for me to live right now. And to me, that seems to be being positive, and it seems to be treating people like they want to be treated, and it seems to be ultimately everybody searching for freedom.
Yeah.
And the feeling of freedom. And so for that, I feel like we've created this platform where we promote that feeling, you know, and it comes through a lot of different filters, which it should.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't come through just my filter.
Yeah.
It's why I could have just kept Crappy Awesome.
Right.
We could be the voice of it all.
Right.
But that wouldn't be honest.
Okay.
That's just me and Arash.
Wow.
I want to hear Cookbook. I want to hear what Noah has to say.
Right.
And they all vary slightly. That's what it should be.
Right.
You know what I mean? But somebody had to be able to say, I have a choice to run with the ball or I could pass. So, and you have to pass to me if you want to create a community. You have to pass. So like you've probably noticed, we've consciously, even as of late with Crappy Awesome, tuned it down because we need the other podcasts to get more attention. That's just straight up. That's just the truth.
Sure.
So people that normally consume Crappy Awesome are putting it at the top of their list within the podcasts that are on Platform Collection can't do that right now. So they're forced to choose another podcast, which they should, because we believe in those podcasts. I believe those podcasts are just as good. And one of the best things about some of the younger guy or some of the newer hosts is you're getting to see somebody grow. Like, when would you be able to get to see that? Like, you haven't seen the theme in Platform Collection yet? Like, that's what you're doing. You're seeing a lot of people grow.
Yeah.
We just had Sage One on, and he's the first person that I've heard so far, but it's true for a lot of guests that Crappy Awesome watched him grow up.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys have watched me grow up, and you've documented it.
Yeah.
And that was the point.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so when it comes to business, me as a curator, me as an artist, I try to separate them to the best of my ability. I acknowledge that I benefit from the energy, but when it comes to the business side, I don't care about anybody else's opinion. I don't. You know, I just don't, you know?
Right. Even just that, the window into your philosophy is really insightful. And just something else I noticed about a through line of your work is like, it's fiercely personal.
Yeah.
You know, and what is, it feels like you act like you owe the world honesty, you know, and it's interesting because you're passionate about it, you know, and I think that's a legitimate philosophical stance to have.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, it's fiercely personal, and everything you guys do. I mean, there's so many episodes of Crappy Awesome are to become like a therapy session.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's freaking amazing. It's
Dude,
like,
we just had one with Vel that's gonna blow your mind.
Right.
Yeah, like and she said that right after. She's like, I feel like I just had a therapy session.
It's always
that's the most gratifying thing about doing Crappy Awesome, period. Yeah, because I think sometimes we come into people's lives and they might need to do that.
Yeah.
Like they're like seriously needing to talk to somebody or let some shit out.
Yeah.
Or we turn something on during the conversation that they realize, like, oh shit, I haven't exercised this thing yet, like, and it just pours out, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we've had people cry, we've had people, you know, like, we've had all that shit happen.
And that's why I was saying so amazing that you guys, you'll even have your personal development and admissions and experiences happen in your work right in front of us. Like, you guys are living for us, for our display, and it's I think it's a really worthy experiment, and we're really lucky to have such candid Truman Show candidates. You know,
we're 4 people that are into that, like not to like
you
Eddie,
take it personal. That's what you've been saying lately. It's
a
campaign, but it's real. You know?
Yeah, and like for people that are into like that part of what we do, like that part's about to get turned up like crazy because Eddie's been pushing for us to just do more, you know, for a while, and I think there's a few projects that are gonna take you like way more into like the process. So hopefully people will be into that. You know, that's coming though for like 2018. That's a big move for us.
Even when the light bleeds through the cracks in your heart, and the days get remembered through the awe. Memories are pieces of the whole, when the faces come and go, and I always finish thoughts when they start. Even to my downfall, I'm down, y'all chill with the same, and my friends rarely have new names. Haven't seen a birthday or a wake in a very long time, but I'm always down to ride for your pain. I might have had a plan though, try to understand, so maybe you can tell me where the fuck I should have been. Forever on the road, all alone, and I'm worried about y'all, and I always pay for every single sin. Believe I know my penance, I do not defend it. One bad song, bad quote could always end it. So hard to be enough, stay sane. Know the names never change, but the game's so fake you pretend it. Everyone's a forced smile, so we chill for a while. Remember how things used to be. I never knew a man who stayed happy after giving up his art. So you tripping if you think it'll be me. I never wait in line, never steal no shine. Give 2 shits about rapping for respect. You'll respect my grind, I'll respect your time. And please check the mail, cause I'm sending home the check. I can see you in the rearview mirror. It isn't that clear, but I feel you there. I circle back around, I'm never in reverse. I'ma flip a bitch, just wait on the curb. Just wait on the curb, just wait on the curb. I'ma flip a bitch, just wait on the curb. I circle back around, no never in reverse. I'ma flip a bitch, just wait on the curb.
Oh man, was it? Do you have more? So photography is something that I see you do a lot because I'm always seeing you post cool pictures of different artists that we know and some artists that we don't know, and just, people in your area that you see and cool pictures that you're taking. Is that part of what's coming next, or is that something that just always is going to be something you do casually as well?
I'm definitely going to do a show. I'm gonna.
Oh, really?
I'll do a show before the end of the year if everything stays on track. I'll do one.
I had no idea.
In San Diego, one in LA, and then. But as I think it's always going to be, dude. That's just a control thing. I think, the photo thing. It's sprung from that.
What do you mean control?
Like I like to control every aspect of what I put out.
Oh, okay. As opposed to like making a 2-hour cinematic movie where you have to make it with 2,000 people.
Sure, yeah.
Like you're saying, this is a piece of art that you have control over fully.
Right. Or even like a lot of the photos of myself are by myself. And it's because other than Arash and Eddie, like I don't really trust too many other people's eyes. Not that they're not good. Yeah. Like, dude, I know like there's like Gadzooks and Muds. Like they're like the dopest portrait photographers I think that are out right now. They're fucking killing it.
Yeah, they are.
But I'm not doing that. So I'm doing this other thing, and so it's harder. It's almost easier for me to just do it than explain to somebody, like this is what I'm doing. So that's why photography became more of a necessity, and now it's more of like a therapy. Like I'll just do it when I want to, like unplug kind of.
Yeah.
And then organically it's grown into like, helping to pay bills, because now I'll get hired to do shoots or, like right now I'm doing a lot of work with people on like reconstructing their Instagrams or like trying to like just polish everything up.
Okay.
Because there's a science to it, and so, but yeah, it sprung out of just necessity. It wasn't like, I used to watch Arash work and I didn't get it at all. I was just fuck, this shit is complicated. Like, like it's not just point the camera and shoot. There's way more to it. Like making the picture speak is like way harder,
That's something even that I was looking forward to about this interview and these interviews is that like I didn't realize that his photography predated yours.
Yeah. He, what was it? He used to have this fucking piece of shit camera that used to like, dude, it was like on sometimes it wouldn't shoot, the batteries would turn off, but we shot so many videos on it and basically it shot like everything we did early on creatively. So, and he was doing it just off of that. Yeah. And that spoke to me like, oh, okay. Even though I am one of those people who I read manuals, like I'll fucking read a manual before I buy something.
Sure.
Like all my recording equipment, I've read their manuals before I bought it, just to see if it was a language that I was going to be able to understand.
Wow.
So
you have a weird mind, dude. Like,
yeah. Again, a lot of it is just the ADD. And I got like a lucky roll of the dice. That shit could be coming out in like me yelling at people walking down the street, It just happens to come out in like systems. That's what it is. I like systems. Like I'll look at things, I'll look at patterns. Pattern recognition is something that I've always had since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you take that with, like I went to college, I studied sociology. Sociology times pattern recognition.
Okay.
You start to see how that fits into marketing and how people interact with each other and how feelings like it gets way
you're
deep.
right. No, you're right. I understand you like way more now. Like now, and it also even just the general idea of yes, recognizing societal trends and then wanting to help people,
right.
to like recognize.
You have to know the trend to be able to help.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just fucking like just throwing a rock into the water, hoping you hit something.
So I took a social work class in college and during my undergrad, and I remember learning that the basic function of a social worker is to match resource to need.
Yeah.
I'm like, and so I remember joking that, I'm a weed social worker because I help my friends who need to find weed with the dealer, right?
It's very true.
And so, but you're like a social worker in that regard too. Then, you're like an artistic social worker. You help match people. Like, you're very much one of the guys that I know who will be like, you know what, you need to meet this guy because that will link this up, and you know how to make alchemy happen.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. And that's social work.
Yeah.
You're an artistic community social worker.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but that's I guess so.
Some of the photography that is actually decorating the websites that you run is your photography as well, right? Like even just some of the platform collection
banners and stuff.
Right. That's some of that. A lot of that's you too, right?
Yeah.
So when you say it came from necessity, that's part of what you mean.
Yeah, it's like super convenient.
I needed to make photos for stuff.
Yeah, like I'll take like as soon as I felt like, oh, okay, I'm getting dope. Like I like doing this. I know that I have like a style.
Sure.
I know, and that was that's just basically talking to your peers, like seeing people like encrypt and like I said, like Muds and Gadzooks, and like seeing them like develop, and then having conversations with them, you realize like, okay, I got some shit here, and if I'm already like kind of painting the aesthetic of platform collection, because I am for the most part. Yeah. There's a like Kali's had some work on the website.
So there's been other input.
Arash has always been my go-to like design person, not necessarily to do the design, but to pick his mind. Yeah, because he'll see it from a completely different. It's been like our fucking secret weapon. Arash is like our secret weapon,
right?
Like Eddie is. Like people don't know. Like, dude, Eddie is like a working manager / agent / executive producer at our level. Like he's working it full time, like at our level.
Damn.
So imagine.
And you're not even hearing him. So imagine.
Yeah, if you're not even hearing him, right. And so if you're thinking about putting together, like, oh, I need a team, like, dude, that's where you start. You need that person before you need anything else, you know. But yeah, I think back to the pictures, like, where were we going with that?
No, I was just asking you various questions about your photography.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool that you do that with them.
And I do this, by the way, too. I ramble like that. So feel free to go like, yo, bring it back.
What was it? What do you think is next with you in video? Or is that part of stuff you can't talk about?
No.
It's exciting that you guys have all this secret stuff cooking.
Yeah. We've got some really cool video stuff. When's this gonna come out?
But I even mean of your. I mean, we could talk about that too. But your video you make.
Oh, like directing videos?
Yeah.
For other people?
In general.
I'm gonna always direct my videos. Right. Probably. Again, right now it just again it serves another purpose. Just logistically, it's easier for me to shoot my videos. Like, it's easier for, like, I would love to have an Encrypt and Loudon video. They're fucking smashing it. Yeah. But for me to just schedule the time and then go up there, do all that shit, I could shoot, like, my own video in pieces over the next, week and then just edit it on the go, So that's why I'll be doing that. As far as doing work with other people, I work with Notice Young. Yeah. I work with Fame Kills. Because these guys are like muses to me. Yeah. So I mean, obviously
that makes sense.
If you've already heard what I've said, obviously you see why I want people that are like Notice is coming in the game with some chips stacked against him socially. You know what I mean? Like we pushed him this. Like within the last few months to like really embrace his Korean side, which is so prevalent in his real life. Yeah, it's so prevalent. Yeah, what is he? I think he's like second generation here. Like, I mean, it's close. Yeah, so it's very much a part of his life. And so to me, that's an interesting project. Yeah, how do we tell that story? How do we tell the importance of that story in our scene and beyond? Yeah. And then Fame Kills is a fucking professor. Yeah. He's very, dude, I'm not as personal as that. That dude is fucking
very personal. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so, that interests me. But, and then, dude, on so many levels, like even his stature, he's a small dude.
Yeah.
And when he performs, he's like a fucking tornado. And and seeing him and like Noah perform together and him being able to hold his own, like that means something. So to me, I was like, I want to tell that story. And he's, by the way, Fame, I've told Fame this, he was like the first type of Mexican like him that I'd ever seen.
Okay.
Now, since I've been to San Bernardino, though, I've seen a lot. Like these experimental, like I didn't, like in San Diego, there wasn't a lot of that. You know what I mean? So, like,
the
to
kind
me,
of grimy punk rocker
kind of
kid
grimy punk hip hop kid,
Yeah.
who like can actually spit.
Yeah.
Like he has obviously some tie to traditional hip hop, but he's so out of the box. You know, we were always those people here.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of other people like us.
To me, your analog is always interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I went to San Bernardino and I was like, whoa, that's why I fell in love with San Bernardino.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I fell in love with San Bernardino when we took the, Arash and I, like, really pushed the Cypher Effect to go to San Bernardino. This is when we were shooting for the Cypher Effect.
Okay.
And that's how I met Noah. I met Noah because we wanted to, like, partner. The Cypher Effect wanted to partner with somebody in San Bernardino to bring the brand there into San Bernardino. We went with Noah, and like we just kind of hit it off. You know what I mean? And then after we stopped doing Cypher Effect, we just kind of like we already had those connections there. You know what I mean? So we just started to build on them. And to me, San Bernardino and Riverside and like inland coast, you know, like inland Southern California has this, to me, they're the middle, like between like the Southern California and Northern California.
Yeah.
The inland is the middle because they speak a little bit of the language of all the coast, and then they have their own shit.
Right.
And because out of necessity, like you guys had to build your community out of fucking necessity, because just simply like, dude, one, you're far, like you're far from like just a 15-minute drive to like where the people in downtown LA
Lamert Park,
you can just
where
walk.
everybody just goes to shit.
You can walk. I live in San Diego, I can walk to shows. So for you guys had to do that, and to me that was interesting. That was a good place. I always see San Bernardino and the Inland Empire as like a pillar of like early platform collection. I will always see it like that. Yeah. Because without them, I wasn't able to tell the story I was trying to tell. You know?
Whoa, you're blowing my mind here. What's like? You mean the story of the independent artist community that you're telling? Yeah,
and how different it is than you know of it. You know what I mean? Like me talking to the rest of the world. Like it's not what you fucking think it is. Like it also looks like this. And did you know that San Bernardino exists? Like did you know like what they're into and how now these artists, their mere existence gives all these people around the world who are like that, like people like you guys meet now on the road that are exactly like you. They just didn't have anybody speaking for them.
Yeah.
So to me, here was a gold mine of diversity.
Yeah.
Where we weren't necessarily getting that in LA when we first started with the Cypher Effect. LA has changed way more now. Like they're way more
diverse.
But, yeah. But it is an unsaid thing, but for people to like downplay the importance of the Inland Empire and San Bernardino to LA, to San Diego, you're fucking crazy. Because I've been studying this from the beginning, and there's obvious influence now in LA, especially in LA. You know?
Right.
There's whole scenes where that's why you see Noah in LA now, and you see Curtis and those guys in LA, because now they don't have to translate it anymore. People get it. You know?
I mean, it's kind of lovely. You see the buzz become cyclical, you know, and I remember in 2010, we hadn't quite found the IE's hip-hop scene yet, but were linked up with Namek and Chamber. And so our earliest shows were actually with them, you know, in the 626 area, and I remember seeing them win everything and them being the headliners at everything, and then these days, I'll be in contests and I'm in the finals with Cam Archer, who's also from San Bernardino.
Right.
And, you know, and like everybody who's winning that I'm seeing.
It's not as rare anymore.
And that's in the 626.
Yeah.
You know, that's not even in our own backyard.
Exactly.
We're going to other areas and dominating and stuff too. And I'm just seeing like, oh, that's cool. Like everybody, different areas get their moments, where they have a lot of heat happening, a lot of momentum, and that's beautiful to feel and experience.
And it's early,
that,
man, dude. It's so early too. Like
I feel that way too.
You guys are like the youngest, right? Like
I think so too.
It's L.A., San Diego, then the inland areas, right?
Right.
And San Diego's always walked around with a chip on their shoulder because they've had that little brother syndrome forever, because LA's right there, but it's not your scene, and your scene doesn't really, like San Diego doesn't have, Platform Collection is going to have like a big move into, local. Yeah, in San Diego anyways, just because it's needed, because we're going to go north and south of LA next. So, but up until recent, there weren't outlets, dude. Like for San Diego, there isn't anything the most popular rapper in San Diego gets that's special. You understand what I'm saying? Like in LA, there is.
Yeah.
You could be like the hottest person in your area. You're going to get headlining gigs.
Yeah.
The clubs are going to call you. That's not what happens in San Diego. They're calling those people.
Damn.
So a lot of like the promoters that come down to San Diego, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but I still have yet to see a promoter get it right yet.
Okay.
An outside promoter coming into San Diego, you have to know who's popping here.
Oh,
you fucking have to know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just plain disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because you're going to come here, you're going to book the wrong people, and then people are going to remember you, and they're not going to fuck with you. And to our own detriment, by the way, San Diego has not been able to build a scene because of a lack of unity. But the city is unifying now, and they are starting to judge people coming into the city because they're like, wait a minute, is this person just here to take? Or are we like, you know what I mean? Like we had to do what the Bay Area had to do. The Bay Area was about the Bay fucking area.
Yeah.
They didn't give a fuck about anybody else.
Yeah.
They didn't care where you came from, whatever. You're not going to... The headliners would come into the city and still be below their headliner.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You should back your people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think in San Diego, we've had like a few promoters come down from like the LA area and kind of just exploit it. And then there's people who don't necessarily deserve the positions they're getting, benefiting, and it's just in the short term anyways. It only hurts them too. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't earn it and you're getting the spot, it's only going to hurt you, dude. Like, it's not going to benefit you like you think it is. Like, you might get props that night, but then you're going to be known as the guy who... like people understand that.
Dago, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's why. But yeah, I think all the scenes, especially like the Inland Empire, the early years of Platform Collection were based on like a lot of philosophies coming out of those areas.
To me, it's really fascinating and amazing and great that you have this really specific story that the way you think of everything. Like I know that you definitely allude to this larger narrative in a lot of your works, but I really hope that someday there's a master document. Whether it's your novel, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a blog series or part of something you talk about in a future season of Failing Forward. But because it sounds like really valuable. Like I mean, honestly, like I always tell you guys, I was in school for freaking 9 years, and so I didn't really jump in until 2014. I know a lot of the building that people were doing, from you guys to Herbalistics to On a High Note, like a lot of that stuff was happening 2010, 11, 12, when I was in grad school, and like honestly, even what you were saying sounded analogous to like, I remember when I went to like grad school conferences in Boston and would see like literary magazines from colleges from like New Mexico and Arizona, and like their imagery was similar to ours because it's some Southwest desert Latino shit, right. And then I was realizing like, oh, like they would like to see us, and then they met us and were like, oh, we want to book you guys, and then we want to, and then that seems to be kind of like what I was telling you guys, what I was experiencing in Boyle Heights, or what you were saying when you came out to San Bernardino. You sense this kindred, kind of this cultural kindredness, and your sense for that.
There's a level of acceptance that was already there,
right?
You know what I mean?
I mean, your sense. I mean, you seem like a culture addict.
I'm a culture addict for sure.
Yeah, you know, like you breathe this in. Like this is you really are thinking about this stuff passionately all the time, aren't you?
Yeah, all the fucking time.
It's amazing, man.
It's all I do.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. What you were saying earlier, like sometimes it's just like can't even stop. You know, you can't even like I'll be tired sitting at home. Like I'm still gotta shoot some emails. I still gotta finish this verse. I still gotta, you know, just like it's and you're so honest about it on your work. You know? It's pretty incredible.
I think it's I can say this for sure. Like I just had an idea today, like that just popped into my mind today, that that's going to change fucking everything.
Right.
And there's times where I feel, and I truly mean this, I feel like I did not do anything to make that idea happen. I was just sitting there and being open, and that shit just popped into my head, and I was like, oh shit. Like, that was the thing that I needed. That's the thing the community needs. That's going to change fucking the game right there. And that's happened enough times. It happened early on with Proof of Life, the first incarnation of Proof of Life Radio, which was the first time that video streaming, live DJing shit was being used like that.
Right.
So I knew I was ahead. I knew I was ahead of the game on that one.
Okay.
But with every issue, like there's the issue forever with any independent artist, and this is something that I really want people to start to understand and stop, like, demonizing this, because you control this. You control your intent when you control your money. You should make money. Stop being broke. Being broke is whack. I'm tired of seeing my friends be broke. Very talented people, simply because they're not able to translate what money can do into something positive. They haven't, and my challenge to you is be more fucking creative then. Stop being a pussy. Like, I should be able to give you $1 million, and if you can't do nothing but positive with that, and you really want to, then how good of an artist are you?
Right.
You're not that tight then. Like, I don't care that you have like the dopest 16 bars. Flip this into a movement, and if you can't, then how dope are you? Because that's the level of dope that I'm talking about, and it's the only level I'm talking about. Ever.
And they say we need to walk a straight line, head down, it's the only real way. And we say this will never be enough, live it out like we only have today. And they say never bet on your loved one, dream ain't worth your whole soul. And I say my whole life was a dream, waking up ain't never been the goal. They never feel the truest, simply satisfied by the newest, simply wanna talk like they do us. You gotta know you like you know you, right? They never know you like you know you, right? Motherfucker critic, always gonna talk, never did it. Probably be the first one to quit it, never analytic. Always gonna act like they get it, but never push their souls to the limit. I tell you that I cry and I bleed in rotation with the record. Sometimes I have hope for a second, never more concerned with the up that I only look down. So I answer every call when they beckon. My people, what you look like? Tell me what you look like. Do we rage under moonlight? If the lights turn off, then we speak with a flame, and we show them how to live in the night. And they say we need to walk a straight line, head down, it's the only real way. And we say this will never be enough, live it out like we only have today. And they say never bet on your loved one, dream ain't worth your whole soul. And I say my whole life was a dream, waking up ain't never been the goal. It's like a melody, I ride the scale of my life, satisfied with looking for the hook. I can never tell it's me, my reflection of a dream, always hoping on one for the books. Tell me how to process, tell me what to process, tell me how this ever really made any sense. I'm living off a peak in a valley, and I'm hoping on a rally. Got my hat inside out and I'm dense, hardened by the comments, chiseled by the stairs. Ashamed of a friend, count friends never share. Ashamed that I care so much that I'm still standing here, but the game never claimed to be fair. My people, what I look like, tell me what I look like. Do I live under moons? Cause I only feel right in a stage-lit room, in a life where I'm never home soon. And they say we need to walk a straight line, head down, it's the only real way. And we say this will never be enough, live it out like we only have today. And they say never bet on your loved one, dream ain't worth your whole soul. And I say my whole life was a dream, waking up ain't never been the goal.
When it comes to like looking at like you know, as a listener of Crappy Awesome, right, that Arash and I, we may not see eye to eye on everything, and we don't. Like, we're brothers.
Yeah.
We don't fucking,
Yeah.
you know, but the bigger picture has always been community. Always. And we understand the importance of not agreeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can agree as a community that money does a lot of bad things. There's a lot of people use it for a lot of bad. It doesn't negate the truth that it can do a lot of good. It's just fucking dumb for you to just be like, oh, people with a lot of money make me feel bad, so fuck money. No, fuck those people.
Yeah.
Fuck those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck the system for us having to use the money. But it's the money, it's here, and we can use it for some dope shit, and we can make sure that we're all good.
Yeah.
Like, let's just make sure that we're all good, and then where you go from there, cool.
Yeah.
I just guarantee you're going to be happier.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to do bad shit to people. And when you have enough and your stomach is full, you don't mind passing food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's get to a place where we're all just passing.
Right.
You know, we're all just passing food to each other. Because why the fuck not? I'm good. You're good. Like,
right.
And in order to get to that point, you fucking have to check your fucking ego.
Okay.
You have to. So if you're angry, if you're like if you're an artist that's constantly, I have them in my own crew. If you're artists that are complainers, if you're artists that are looking at issues and pointing out the flaws, and that's all you're fucking doing, you're whack. To me, that's whack.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not really about that life.
Yeah.
I'm about that fucking life.
Yeah.
If I see something that I don't like, I'm going to make an alternative. I don't have to go tear that down.
Yeah.
I'm not into that, bro. Like, I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
You know, Rosh and I were in a fraternity. Same with Carlo. He was in our same fraternity.
In college.
In college. And dealing with a group of people when I founded the fraternity, right? Like, we wrote the bylaws. We're the first fraternity founded at San Diego State, right? So when you create something like that, what it taught me is that people, regardless of what your idea is or how inclusive your idea is, you'll find people who will want to change your idea.
Okay.
Simply to change it. Simply to make their idea more valid.
Huh.
As opposed to just creating their own thing and building that. And it's just a normal part of humanity. If you look around and pay attention, people are doing it to each other all day. Just read Facebook. People are just fucking downplaying each other all day. Like, all fucking day. Promoter complaining about artist complaining about promoter, artist complaining about artist. What do any of those people have to do with you doing what you're doing? So, again, if we're talking about dope, that's the level of dope I'm talking about. That shit can't even touch you. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody says about Platform Collection. You're not going to change us from the direction we're going. Yeah. And we're going to get there, and everybody's going to be good, and we're going to win, and people are going to see it as a fucking example of how things should be done.
Right.
And we're not going to think twice about it. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing to us. Props to everybody. Dude, you know how many podcasts popped up simply to create competition for us? Like, that shit happens all the fucking time.
Damn.
That happens all the fucking time. That's what should be happening.
Yeah.
Spark it up. Fucking roll with it.
Yeah.
Because we're not playing the podcast game.
Yeah.
That's just part of what we do.
Yeah,
it's just a little tiny thing.
Yeah.
So if you're coming and you're just playing the podcast game, we're not worried about you.
Right. It's apples to oranges.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. We're doing something different.
Yeah. Oh, man. What was it? When I listened to a lot of your music, and I had heard some of it before, and but it was really cool to go through the evolution of it, because it totally develops a third eye, you know, as it progresses.
Oh.
But at the same time, it's consistent. You know,
yeah.
like, and it's crazy because it's not exactly
DMT, man.
Yeah.
Did Arash already say that? People complain about us talking about DMT.
I don't think. How do I put this?
Probably cookbook.
I could hear jokes about how it gets brought up a lot, but it's totally appropriate. I mean,
it's just true.
It's
you know,
it is.
people want it to not be true.
It is really true.
When you see the third eye that you're talking about in
Right.
music, that was DMT.
Right. I mean, I found that interesting and impressive about your work. That like that third eye develops, and it's and it's still consistent with this kind of aggressive party rock rap stuff that's going on earlier on. I mean, even just to start with, I was actually having trouble finding the words to describe the kind of beats that you like. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah, which is a rare thing for me. You know, and like I'm like kind of my attempts were like
because I make most of them.
My attempts to describe them would be like spacey, like weird, hard beats. You know, but like I feel like that's not specific enough. Like, how would you describe the beats that you like?
I think the hard part is coming from is the drums. I love drums. Like I love big drums.
Okay.
I've heard super dope beats that are just like like just like, you know, they just barely have any drum in it. Those are dope. I just don't sound good on them. I don't like them. Every time I try to write something, I'm always picturing the same picture. Always, when performing it, I'm at an outdoor festival by the beach. Everybody's fucking out there just having a great time.
Right.
It's love. And it needs to rock that kind of place.
Right.
So I want it to be very epic, very like cinematic. I use tons of violins and pianos, always, you know. So when I'm building the beat, reason people can't describe it a lot of times is because I don't think I'm making it necessarily from a hip hop perspective. I'm putting it together.
I agree.
I'm putting it together through hip hop because that's how I learned how to produce. But one of my big pet peeves about hip-hop is break beats. I don't know why hip-hop turns a blind eye when we talk about originality, but we've used like the same break beats for years, right? And it's just okay. Yeah. I get it. It's just a pass, and it's kind of an acknowledgement to that era. But how many times can you use Funky Drummer? Like, dude, there's a 2017 hit today that you'll find Funky Drummer on.
Yes.
Right? But why is that? Like, that's okay. Like, you know what I mean? But any other forms of like out of the like, so that it's just very contradictory to me. Yeah. So as a producer, I'm trying to do the opposite of that, but I still like the aesthetic of, you know, like I speak the language of hip hop, so it's just over a different, you know, canvas, I think.
What do you use to produce?
I started with, like, the early shit you'll hear will probably be, dude. What I started on was an Ensoniq 16 Plus, which is an old ass fucking keyboard. It was dusty when I bought it, and I just liked it because it was one of the first keyboards that looped continuously in like 16 bar loops. You can make 16 bar loops. And it had no like quantizing.
Okay.
So you had to just hit it. Like it had to be on, right? And so, but you could layer samples.
Okay.
And it was super dope. And it was the first thing for some reason, and they never duplicated this again until years later. But on that keyboard, when you sampled like a key, right? Like you just can't sample like ding, like it would spread it evenly without you having to tune it. So you could play any sound, basically. You could just put a sound in and it would sound on key. And so I was sampling fucking everything. Like, I think we would sample like, and then like we'd fucking EQ that and turn that into a bass line. So I started on that, and then I went to Reason.
Okay.
And now I use like a combination of Ableton and Reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about Ableton more and more.
I love it, man. I just fell in love with it.
Is it very different than other stuff, or?
The language is different. Like if you're a Reason user or a Fruity Loops user or like any of like the more traditional ones, because I used Fruity Loops before, and the language in Fruity Loops and the language in Reason are not that far apart. Like, if you understand like the outboard gear and all that, I mean, Reason literally looks like the outboard gear. You tab and turn around, and there's the plugs. You unplug shit. So if that's more to me, like if you learn traditional producing on outboard gear, Reason is for you because it looks just like that. But Ableton is more from I think a DJ mixer. Like they cater to that. But in modern production, I feel like there's a lot of things we can pull from like electronic music and shit.
Yeah.
And Ableton allows it's tailor made for that.
Yeah, I get that from your work. I get like these party sounds, electronic sounds, rock sounds, but also there's really up-tempo hip-hop. And, man, even what you were saying a second ago about how it's like, you don't get, there shouldn't be an automatic pass of like, to me what you're saying there is like, you shouldn't get away with not putting thought into every question you could ask about your art.
Right.
You know,
the hip-hop I come from was or how hip-hop was introduced to me. I remember my cousin giving me inner city griots.
Oh wow.
And I didn't know what it was. Like he played for me and I was like, the fuck, like, what is this? I had heard hip-hop, but I think literally the first hip-hop shit I ever heard was a Too Short record. Sure. And I remember being in, like, I was a little ass kid, and the bad kid in the class. Yeah. You know, there was always, like, the bad kid. Yes. This motherfucker had a tape player in his bag, and he would just, every time the teacher would turn around, he'd play from some fucking song from from Too Short that would just be about bitches and shit. Yeah. Because, you know, just totally like derogatory shit. And that was the first time I heard it, and that shit, I mean, shout out to Too Short, because that hooked me. I was just like, I can't believe this dude is
exists.
Like talking on this. Yo, you could if he can talk about that, I wonder what. There's a bunch of shit you could talk about. Yeah. And then it was fucking over, you know. But then I heard Inner City Griots, and I think that changed how I approached making music. Because so if I started with a bunch of people who were like, we don't have any rules, it was hard for me to go back to rules. You know, even when I heard like, cause Freestyle Fellowship, they didn't have any rules. They were just fucking out there. You know, they were jazz. It was jazz.
Yeah.
You know, and then like I later like learned about like Premier and Guru and like, you know, like a lot of East Coast hip hop. Yeah. That seemed more traditional to me, and I realized. In San Diego, I don't know if you know this, the reggae scene is really big.
Okay, makes sense.
So, and we have a Latino reggae scene too. Yeah. That's really, really big.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That has touring, you know, groups. They've toured for years, you know, people who sell really, you know, a lot of records. So there's a big scene there, right?
Wow, cool.
But I learned through that scene and through my boy Ricochet, who was like a heavy reggae head, about the rhythm. And are you familiar with like reggae rhythms? So it's basically,
not explicitly, no.
It's basically almost, a lot of times it's through a bass line, but sometimes it's a complete like loop, and it's just a rhythm is basically like something that is allowed to be used many times. People will make many different songs over that rhythm. Yeah. Their interpretation of a rhythm, and there's
almost like a blues progression.
Exactly, and there's not a lot of them. You know what I mean? So there's after a while, there's just combinations of these things, and that's acknowledged. So if we did that in hip-hop, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, yo, we use this...
But it is that, isn't it?
No, because nobody does. What producer is going, yo, I'm just giving a shout-out to... They don't even... Most of the guys don't even... The modern-day producers weren't even born when that was first being sampled.
You're saying that if they were to do that, there needs to be more historical citation. There needs to be more people saying, oh, this is kind of a cover, this is kind of Right, like when Snoop Dogg does La Di Da Di and shouts out Slick Rick.
Exactly.
You know? Like, because that's how I think of it as far as the reuse of the drum.
But if, like, Drake uses... Like, J. Cole sampled... what was the one that he sampled for that song about, like, the first time? Fuck. We'll cut it in right here.
It's okay.
But he sampled that. Everybody knows that that's a very used sample. Yeah. At no point does he go like, yo, this is a throwback to the person who made that thing. It's just an accepted thing in hip-hop. You can do that.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for me when I hear like traditional producers like, are you not going out of the box too much? Because they're like, oh, then you lose the essence. Well, what's the essence? I thought the essence was being original. Yeah. Right? The essence isn't like something that you hear a million times. That's not the essence. That was made in one period of time, which arguably is not the most important period in hip-hop ever. It's not. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
That hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
For us to just be like, yo, either the 90s or the early 80s, like that was it. dude, then why are we doing it anymore?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, we're never going to be better than that. No, dude, it hasn't even happened yet. We haven't used all our tools yet. So how could it happen?
Right.
You know? So that's the hypocrisy, I think, that sometimes drives Platform Collection, because I think it makes me aware that there's still some misunderstanding happening, because I feel if you followed what I said, and this is in recorded form so you can just listen to it back, I feel it's very logical. I don't see there too many holes in it. I try to not to talk about things with a lot of holes in them, because then I feel like I should just shut the fuck up if I have too many holes in what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I don't see too many holes in that.
Right.
You don't want a community in hip-hop that is so open, that allows you to do whatever the fuck you want to do with no judgment.
Yeah.
And the only thing that is obvious is your actual craft. Like, you're good at your craft. Can we tell the difference in craft levels? Yes, because we have every craft level at Platform Collection.
Yeah.
We have people who've been rapping for a year. We have people who are legends.
Yeah.
And they acknowledge each other in the same world.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah.
But that's the community that we should have. Not, yo, I'm this level of my skill, so thus anyone who's not on that level should not exist.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Right.
That's bullshit. So, like, for me, that's what drives a lot of, like, going forward with Platform Collection. And I think it drives a lot of the people who fuck with Platform Collection, you know? Like, they all want that.
Right.
Like, we're talking about a dope-ass place.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we just want to make that place.
Damn. What does the name Kill C Ray come from?
That it first came from me not wanting a rap name. I was just like, I don't want to have a rap name. I was just like, but my friends would call me C Ray.
Okay.
So thus Kill C Ray was like kill the ego.
I was
like,
wondering
that's really where it came from.
If it was that.
That's really what it means. But like, you know, you hear me all the time. Just call me Chris. You know, it's easier because you're gonna say Kill Cray anyways.
That was my next question. What's wrong? What's so wrong with Kill Cray?
I don't need. You know what? Because I searched it one time on YouTube, and I think it's like a video game thing. I think it's shorthand for like some kind of video game thing.
Isn't it Kill Craven?
I don't know, but there's a shitload of videos that say Kill Craven.
Flashbacks. Oh man, I think now I'm gonna look at it. I think Kill Craven might be a thing.
Yeah,
I might have found your next Halloween outfit.
There you go.
You know,
or my next fan base, just by confusion.
Oh man, what was it? In line with the idea that your stuff is fiercely personal, and you know, that's like a lyrical theme I found in your work. You know, never bottled up emotion and twisted up the lid. You know, pain is not an issue. You know, like I think that's how do I put this? I mean, your stuff comes out of nowhere, man. Like your shit is like. It's really unique, you know, and it's not even the personality I would have expected from you on record, you know. Is your persona you? Is it a carnival mirror reflection? Like, how do you think of your MC persona?
Yeah, that's weird. It's I definitely think that it's not one. Like, I'm an only child.
Okay,
so. That plays a lot into my creativity just by the ability to entertain myself, right? So, creating like a persona, I've been doing that forever.
Right.
But with Kill C Ray, I found that what I fell in love with hip hop the most always was like the honesties. You know, like the honesty songs.
Yeah.
You know, like I just loved those songs. And it's still, like, you know, I'm so partial to that. I'm so partial to like emotional music. And so entering hip hop through that again, I realized like I could use hip hop as like, sometimes like it's like a shield. You know what I mean? Like I can present the things that I truly feel and just leave it on the record. You know what I mean? Like, I don't talk a whole lot about songs or, you know, I think there'll probably be more discussion. Like, I have 2 EPs coming.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, a bunch of video projects, like, attached to it. And so maybe it explains more. I feel like it explains more.
Okay.
Like I feel like it'll come out more because I think I'm still figuring it out. But
Right.
but I've never written anything that's not true.
Right.
That's for sure. Like I don't. It's probably why I can't write for people. You know, it's really hard for me to write for
because it's more like a personal poetry almost.
Yeah, because I'm not that interested in being like
Songwriter.
Yeah. I'm just doing. This is what I'm doing. This thing from. Like I want to do this thing.
It's like necessary if you feel like therapeutically necessary to express it, right?
Yeah. And dude, I mean, let's be honest. You're one of those people. You know, I can talk to you about it because you've been on stage. You know what it's like to be on stage.
Sure.
That's pretty hard to give up.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of being on stage is, and so right now my experiment is one, controlling my mind while I'm on stage. Because I think that's an important experiment, and what a better way to do that experiment than through this forum. I have access to it.
Yeah.
I could go to like DIY Fest, perform at the main stage, and be like, okay, this is part of the experiment. I need to control my mind in front of these people, and my goal is to get to a point where I'm completely free on the stage, and that I feel that skill will translate super well into everything else that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's the only place I can get it at that level. Like, I feel like you'd have to pay to, like, get that kind of therapy. You know, I'm getting therapy in front of sometimes 5 people. You've been there. Sometimes 1,000 people. Like, it's fucking, it's super dope, you know? So, to me, it's just, like, the performance part and the music part is, like, an experiment that's helping me in a lot of other, like, areas of my life, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
That's very much the impression I get from honestly, this has been a very enlightening conversation because it's like it all connects. It's like everything that you do is connected. Like you're very obsessed with getting out what people need to know about the art that this young generation of people is making. Yeah, man.
You know? I think it's super important.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
and
right.
Let me just say this too. I don't think it's because part of what we're trying to do at Platform Collection is if we're going to blur any lines, I do want to blur the age line. And I think we've proved that this year with 2Mex.
Yeah, it's true.
We've put a lot of work behind 2Mex and a lot of our energy behind 2Mex to make it translate to a relevant audience right now.
Yeah.
And I think it is. And I think that if anybody's listening that's an older artist and goes like, man, where's my place in this?
Sure.
We're trying to prove it to you. We're trying to prove that you can do it.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. You open up your mind to the generation that's coming behind you instead of like immediately trying to figure out why you can't. Because that's really it's just about you.
Yeah.
Like you hating on the younger audience is just about you feeling not relevant. If you felt super welcomed and relevant, you'd be like, hell yeah, this is fucking tight.
Yeah.
2Mex does feel welcomed and relevant.
Yeah.
That audience does give him love.
Yeah.
Thus, he gets to share that energy. Thus, when he translates his art, it's like an updated version of his art.
Yeah. Just
organically. Because he's hanging out with Zay in the studio. You know what I mean? He's fucking made a song with Rick Scales the other day.
Right.
Like, he understands the power of being around the energy.
Yeah.
So if you're an older artist, I think the time is coming soon where you're not going to be able to say, oh, well, I don't fit in anymore, because we're going to make it so that you can.
Right.
We're going to make it so that it's your fault if you're not fitting in. Because the younger audience, I tell you, for the most part that I've heard, and we've talked to a lot of them, and we've seen them grow, the most successful ones never give a fuck about age.
Yeah.
They're not looking at, oh, that artist is old or that artist is too young. They don't care.
Yeah.
Because they know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's why they're being successful, you know? So if you're like, I can't wait. I'm looking at like some older artists and starting to get ideas already moving forward of like somebody else we want to like, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's show again, like, yo, let's make this person super relevant right now. Because the only reason they're not relevant is because they don't have the information. That's it. Yeah. It's not a diss. It's not like, yo, you're not relevant right now. Nah, you're just...
It wasn't a diss when Tarantino hired Travolta for Pulp Fiction.
Exactly.
You know,
he found a new way to
show people,
him.
hey, this is a dope dude that I grew up on that you should peep. Just to clarify, when I say young, I just mean like modern, like not the Mona Lisa and classical music.
Sure.
Like we're very. It's I just mean young in the sense that the culture is young
now,
compared to like the artistic canon of all of human history.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And but I also but I totally resonate with everything you were just saying. I remember, I mean, in grad school, all my professors are poets and stuff, right? So they perform poetry and they have poetry books. They're 45, 48, 52. And I remember even kind of thinking about that disconnect as I transitioned from the grad school poetry community to hip hop. You know, that it's like, oh, there should be 48-year-old rappers and there should be 52-year-olds, because just like these older poets have all this wisdom and people are totally sitting, you know, cross-legged listening to their wisdom. Like that's how it should be with this culture too.
And it's inevitable, man. Like they,
and it is happening.
We're just young.
Happening, and you are helping it. I think,
we're just young, and we're just trying to, like I said, it's going to happen with or without us. I feel like I just want to I want to give, you know, like the opportunity that a brand new artist with a great song and a great video has when they upload it to YouTube, and that excitement around that. I want, like
that to be democratic for everybody.
I want the 2Mexes of the world to have that same kind of feeling, because the audience is there. We've been able to properly tell the story so that you understand why it's relevant to you. You know what I mean? And if you understand why it's relevant to you, the truth is the only thing we're betting on. That's all we're betting on. We're just, when we're not seeing eye to eye at Platform Collection, we just feel we've not done a good enough job to convey the information. So back to the drawing board, we'll do that, and we are going to do that, because we think we're only betting on truth. You know what I mean? It's just the truth. Like, should we send away rappers when they're at their most wise? That's fucking dumb.
No.
And only play like the 18-year-olds because, wow,
new hotness.
Yeah, but plus the fact that we're exploiting that. We're exploiting youth.
Wow.
That's whack, dude. Like they deserve a chance to grow up normal and not be judged for growing.
Okay.
Why are we trying to stagnate? Like why are we trying to stop these young kids from like being everything they can be when we attack their attempts at it?
Okay.
Right? Like we're attacking their attempts. Like you think when you hear, dude, I've said it many times on the show. I did not understand Self-Provoked when I first heard it.
Okay.
Didn't get it. I was like, why is this dope?
Okay.
Why? Now I'm less like, oh, okay. Because I wasn't listening to like the ears of the people that he's talking to. And to me, it's so much deeper. It goes to it. There is a scientific level to this. I feel like people learn and listen in an ever-evolving way. So even the cadence that Self-Provoked that I heard first that was throwing me off is now a very technical thing. I've heard other artists take it to a technical thing. So he was just finding parts of the beat that I hadn't found yet.
Wow.
And that's going to continue to happen. Yeah. So thus, if you're at this level of the spectrum, if you're way at this side and the new shit's coming up, of course it's going to be like, what is this noise? Like, because it feels off beat. You just haven't caught up to the beat. Like the beat it keeps progressing. It keeps building. It should. It's math. That's what's happening. It's going to keep doing. You're not going to stop that. So complaining about anything connected to that evolution is fucking ridiculous. You're just missing the information. That's all. If you had the information, you'd see it, and you'd have as much fun with it as I do. It's fun to me to be able to see those things and go like, wow, that's what's happening. That's what's coming. Like, oh, it's so exciting. Like, you know, like I just saw, who put this out? I think did you put it out? Did you put something up on Instagram about somebody shooting 1-minute videos?
Yes. Mr. Every Damn Day,
exactly.
Double D Hernandez.
We've this year Platform Collection has put more time into 1-minute videos than anything. And that's dope.
Yeah.
It's not sad to me. Like they're like, oh, well, fuck, they're not going to hear my 10 verses on a song. No, you're going to have to be even more creative.
Yeah.
And try to fit it into that one thing because that's what people have time for. That's where the world's going.
Yeah.
That's how people are retaining information. You just got out of grad school. Mm-hmm. The amount of information that you needed to retain compared to what they had to retain in the 50s is nothing.
Yeah.
Because you had it on your fucking phone. You can pick it up and like reference some of your papers you have in the cloud or what. Right. You don't have to.
Right.
So you already know that's here. That's changing. Why not make art for that world as opposed to the world that's already passed us by?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make art for the world that's coming, you know? Otherwise, what are you doing? Like,
wow.
You're just rehashing shit.
Man, I feel like one of the big themes of everything that you say is like, everyone is their own lottery. You know, it's just like
dude, but yes,
you know, and
for sure.
What was
they
it?
Just don't know it. They should. I wish they knew it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. You're
you could change it all right now. You could change it all.
Yeah. What was it? You're like, I was saying this to Arash too, but in a different way. You're both very religious about the religion that you've cultivated. You know, like you've created your own religion of life. You know, and you're very passionate about it, and you're very evangelical about it, and it's really interesting. It's I was actually, I'm surprised and pleased at how fully formed your ideas and philosophies in this stuff are. Because I figured you would be leaning towards the things that you're saying as far as you're answering, but you're like, you have conviction about it. This is like a thought tree that you've already shaved the leaves on. Like,
yeah,
like it's.
I've always believed, dude. Since I was a little kid, like my uncle would always just be really, really heavy on that listening. If you don't know the situation, just listen. Just listen. Like, and so it was very, by the time I began to speak, it was very rare that I would ever speak without the information I felt like I needed to speak. Right. Otherwise, I just shut the fuck up. Like, that's literally how I feel most of the time. Like, when I hear somebody talking and you're like, oh, dude, you literally just missed a whole chunk of information. That's all. Right. That's all. And you're looking like an idiot right now.
Right.
You know? But I think that, you know, like with social media, we get to see people's anger a lot. I think anger is important. That might surprise people because I find myself rarely getting angry. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like I've tried to like work really hard to not allow something to control me to get angry, you know? Yeah. But I understand why anger is important. Anger shifts things. Yeah. You know, so even when we're talking about anger, if what we're doing can harness some of that and push it in a more useful direction, then I'm with it. I'm not like you shouldn't be angry or fuck mad rappers. I'm not saying that. I think everybody's feelings are legitimate, but if you're going to be the person that's standing like on the street corner yelling at everybody that goes by you and attempting to impose your beliefs on people who are not necessarily asking you to do that, you have to be ready for the repercussions. Yeah. I think this day and age, you do know what the repercussions are, so I have to question your legitimacy on what you're saying. Okay. Because either you really like pain or you're lying. There's only two ways to go about it, to me. Either you really like pain, you are aware that you're spewing pain because you're not making people feel bad. I mean, you're not making people feel good. Yeah. You're only making people feel bad. You're pushing people away. You're not being inclusive. You're complaining. If you're all those things, what would be the other explanation for it? Like because it's not the smartest thing to do. Right. Right? You're inviting, enemies. Okay. Like that's not smart. And when we're talking about what we do, like inside a platform collection, the culture that I would love to create within the people who take part in platform collection is we're only talking about the highest truth. And the highest truth says that being unhappy is not smart. Yeah. If you can control it. Yeah. And if you can't control it and you're aware that you're unhappy, the highest truth says you should try to find help. And I know how hard that is. Yeah. I fucking been there. I know what that shit is like. But you have to.
This is what we really want. This is what we really want. I'm living in the deep end. I got some weed for the float. First one in the pool, last one off the boat. And my feet keep kicking rather ground than be anybody's victim. You can get the dickums, you can never pick them. The same broken minds from the same broken system. You do it all the same though. No claim to your shame, or you try to be the next nobody with some fame. I know the living my life in reverse, just way more appealing. I'm probably not dealing that well with my feelings, and if it gets worse, then I'll probably make a killing. And I should just quit it. This game is so fake. Turn your life into gimmicks. Yeah, but I get it. Everyone's gotta eat. Everyone's got their limits. But I ain't with it. This game is so fake. Turn your life into gimmicks.
Oh man, I asked Arash this as well. When you think of a 2-hour either cinematic or documentary that you would make one day, what's an idea? What's one of the ideas that's rattling in your head about
For
that?
sure, this one, like the community that we're following. Like I think we're inching. I think we're inching towards it. I think you will see it sooner than later. It's just right now we're so immersed. You know?
No. When I have this question in mind, I even mean it as like a big far off fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like when because I guess maybe
I'd like to see it in the next 5 years, honestly.
Right.
I like to see it that soon.
Like a full-length documentary about the community.
But the thing that I'm steadily watching, it's just trying to find that sweet spot, because a lot of the artists that have come through Platform Collection
are hitting plateaus.
They're hitting places, and I mean, dude, they could be out of here tomorrow. They could be the hugest thing, and I want part of that story too.
Yeah,
you know, so there might be too soon.
Yeah, you hate to make the movie today, and then next week it's like, they're at they're at the Governor's Ball in New York.
And I'll tell you this, I know there's people like talking about making it. I've talked to some of my friends making it.
People too.
I'll tell you this, you haven't talked to us yet though, so I know you're not making it.
Okay.
If you come to talk to us,
right,
and you start interviewing me about the scene, then I'll worry. Until then, I'm not that worried. You're not going to get the full story, you know?
That's I've definitely had conversations like that because I researched the scene too. So I'll hear people talking about it.
Yeah, have you been interviewed yet?
Yeah, right.
Have you? Okay,
yeah, right.
So then they're not getting the whole story. Yeah.
What was it? Another thing I was thinking that I like about your work is that. And in both in your raps and in your and in the podcasting is like the celebration of the working class.
Yeah,
you know, I've heard you have half a podcast about like Mexican moms. You know,
my mom, bro.
You know, I mean about your mom, but then you connected it to like Mexican moms everywhere. Like I've heard you go
because
on some,
of my mom, bro. Like my mom is, my mom is that Mexican mom, dude.
Yeah,
she's fucking nuts.
Right, but how do I put this? I guess I just really appreciate that you talk about working class people and that you recognize, even earlier what you were saying about like let's open it up to the young, let's open it up to the older. It seems to me like democratizing opportunity and democratizing cool stories is something that's important to you.
Yeah.
You know, like in other words, Mexican moms have a cool story. 2Mex has a cool story.
The
next 17-year-old has a cool story.
Should be told, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like we pick them pretty organically. You know what I mean?
But as far as the stories you choose to tell of people, you know?
Yeah. Well, Arash and I definitely approached Crappy Awesome from like we tried to like approach it from like a journalistic, at least mindset. At the very least, we were going to try to get the truth out of these people and try to connect it to a larger story, right? And then it kind of just morphed into what it is now, where it seems like it's just one long narrative of like this independent spirit, and like how sometimes there's ups, there's downs, there's so many different faces that you can attach to the independent spirit, and sometimes I like people when I feel, I don't know, man, like sometimes I feel like our audience, the people that are listening to our shit, like I'll interact with certain people.
Sure.
And for some reason, our audience feels perfectly comfortable, like just direct messaging me, like questions or just whatever. And I love that. It's just hard to keep up with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to think like you know how that shit goes.
Yes.
So, but when I do get to do that, sometimes like I'll feel like, okay, they're not getting this one thing that we're talking about, whatever it may be. Like maybe they're not understanding like how passionate we are about bringing like scenes together for the larger picture, not to build our network. And in the long run, platformcollection.com will make very little money. It's not designed to. That's not why we built it. I've always said this from the jump. I'll take care of my money. I'm not going to starve. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you already know how I think about the world. So just know that everything I'm going to make money off of is going to be legit, or I'm not going to do it. It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah.
I've already proven that I'll fucking leave money on the table.
Yeah.
You know, we've done that already. We've left money on the table because we're just not fucking with these certain people, because I'm not trying to have them mess up this thing that we're trying to create.
Okay.
Plus, I care about the people that we're fucking with. And if I can keep wolves away from those people, then you're goddamn right I'm going to do that. You know? Like, and so we make it very obvious who we fuck with. It's very obvious. We never hide that, because that was one of the things I never liked when I was, before all of this, and I was trying to just get on musically. Yeah. I was like, the gatekeepers suck. The gatekeepers, there shouldn't be gatekeepers. Mm-hmm. There should be a filtering system for sure. Most of the time, that's just professionalism. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't send in what we tell you to send in, you're done. And that's for real. Yeah. Eddie, I've seen Eddie just delete. Yeah. And those songs might be dope, but we have to have some filtering system, because what it says about the person who took the time to do that is they take it that much more serious. And then we filter through curators, like people that we feel their taste. Yeah, I mean, you're one of those people. Like, we feel your taste can add to the conversation. Okay. Yeah. Beyond that, you know, like, we don't control what the fuck you, like, you just send in, like, yo, I thought of this. Yeah. Cool. Right. Obviously, it's relevant because that's what you're thinking about. Right. You pay attention to those things. That's why we fuck with you. That's as much as we need to know. Right. I think, so when we're talking about, like, making it a democratic thing, it's hard to not stay on top of the overall, like, yeah, dude, like, the core people at the top of Platform Collection drive the ship, for sure. They drive the ship. They have to, because I can't put the responsibility of, like, hey, make sure everything's fair, because just that statement is so many things. It's so many things when you look at the entirety of Platform Collection. If I say, yo, Wiggy, make sure everything stays fair, where do you start? Like, oh shit, like, who are we booking? What are we putting on the radio show? That's a big job. Yeah. I can't pass that to a cookbook right now or a 2Mex. We're still developing, and my goal is to do that. Yeah. My goal is definitely, I don't want to be running this whole thing the whole time. You know? I don't want to do that for sure. So eventually we want to pass it sooner than later into, like, an editor who can, like, see the vision and then take it to the next thing, you know? Right.
I'm going to let the audience just kind of marinate in this incredible vision. You've to me, in this conversation, you've revealed your beehive. You know, you've revealed, like, earlier I was telling Arash that this comic book writer I like, Grant Morrison, says that your life, your actual body, is like the caterpillar image that is made from when you're born to, like, the moment that you end at. You know, like, that's your actual body. You know, Like, to me, you just gave us that larva, like, of the whole community as you see it, and the story you're trying to tell. And I'm really blown away. You know, and I really appreciate you opening up about that. It's going to be something I revisit, because you have such a clear vision, and we're so lucky in the community that you continue to communicate that vision about the artistic community, about independent artists. Like, you even used the phrase the independent spirit. Yeah. How it's like you guys are looking for people who embody the independent spirit and to tell those stories, and like you even said earlier about the future of platform, you're finding more ways. We're finding more ways to tell more people more stories with less middleman in between, like, the audience and the stories of people and the art of people, and it's a beautiful thing. And you're a really you're a really distinct visionary, man. And you know, I'm really honored that you asked me to do this and to help shed some light on you and your thinking.
Thank you, bro.
For the audience.
Thank you, man.
What was I'll ask you what
Yeah, Rosh has just sat down too, but
right.
Yeah.
I'll ask you what I asked Rosh at the end of the last one. Is there anything of Kelsey Ray that you regret not pushing a little bit more, and not even in the capitalism self-branding thing, but in the sense of just it's something else that you work on a lot and that you don't share enough? You know.
No, man, I suck at drawing.
You're like, no, we're getting the picture.
Yeah, I think I'm at capacity right now.
Okay.
Hopefully, like the directing stuff, like I'm definitely gonna with the project the 2 projects I'm dropping, I'm gonna show more of like the directing side of things. I kind of want to put more of an emphasis on some of that stuff. So I like that part better, you know, than the actual shooting and editing.
Are you familiar with Jack Kerouac?
Yes. Yeah.
There's some your
fucking Tumex talks about him all the time.
Really,
in his music.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Greaseball too.
Yeah.
And your work, your video work reminds me a bit of Kerouac in the sense that it kind of shows the wild ones, the weird ones, the freaks. You know, that new little platform teaser that you made. That shows people. It's like that's such a Kerouacian vision, you know, and
that's dope, man.
And that's part of the story that you're telling, and I love that aesthetic. You know,
wow, I've never heard that. That's dope.
And so it's like, and I even think of like, I think it's cool that you guys are both photographers and both videographers, you know, because it's like where I think Arash often his work will show people in like this really beautiful light. Yours shows people in this really freakish light, you know, and it's awesome.
Without a doubt.
That beauty and contrast is a really cool recipe.
Yeah, I feel like we're always like passing each other, huh? Like, right? We're those ships passing in the night constantly.
What was it? And I'm sorry to mess up our perfect transition into the final section with both of y'all, but I really got to go pee.
Go pee, man. Yeah.
Okay, you're back now.
And we're back. This is Tanjint Wiggy Woo. We're on Crappy Awesome from PlatformCollection.com. I have the distinct honor of doing some interviews with our usual hosts, Kelsey Ray and Mr. Arash. And now I finally got both of them on the couch together, and I get to spring all these crazy ones on them.
On the couch.
And, okay, dang, you guys are... how are you guys simultaneously 50 and 12?
I like that.
And we're very comfortable with our sexuality.
That's true. And that's one of my favorite things about you guys. But take your hand off of that. So here's the knock on you style of interview, you know, that I see on like OG Husky Radio, right? There's Wake the Flock Up, where people like talk and do rap, you know. But you guys have this, like, yeah, we talked about it a little bit. You guys go into this vulnerability thing, you know. I mean, I noticed earlier on the early episodes on SoundCloud, you have segments talking to Kayla Carrera about her career, and then I see it looks like she was some kind of co-host capacity. So it's like, it sounds like there's been like a whole evolution, you know, to how you even arrived at the show that you arrived at. Like, it sounds like a couple twists and turns, and Crappy Awesome wouldn't even necessarily be so hip hop centric of a podcast as it is. Like, almost like things happened by incident, just as how life unfolded. So yeah, how do you arrive at the kind of show that it is? You know.
How do we arrive at the show that it is today? Yeah, it's been you're right. It has been a journey.
Right. I mean, I didn't even realize it until I started researching the oldest stuff like that and listening to the SoundCloud clips and stuff like that. Realizing like, wow, it was a different show. It sounds like it's had a life. He's had a puberty and adolescence and all that.
No, it initially started as. I mean, honestly, it was an excuse to like share our own shit.
Okay.
I mean. Kelsey Ray at that time was hosting Proof of Life Radio with there was like, I don't know, at some point like 3 or 4 other hosts, and that was like a live radio show where like people would just randomly show up into the room, which was a really cool experience.
Okay.
But once we got into Crappy Awesome podcast, you know, maybe like on some level it was conscious, but on some level we were thinking we were going to just do the show, but a lot of it was designed around like, all right, we're gonna interview interesting people, and we're gonna look for excuses to interview people that typically a lot of hip hop might not actually talk to, and find a way to kind of package it all together. And through all this, we'd use it as an excuse to share our own stuff. As we got into the interviewing, we got super into it, and then the sharing our own stuff just pretty much didn't happen. I want to say like right from the get-go. because we just kept getting more and more interested in the subjects that we were interviewing. And that's when it sort of took on a life of its own. And I think through the process, you know, initially the idea was that we would go after a lot of those like bigger names that Proof of Life Radio, because Proof of Life Radio had a lot of big names on.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, the who's who of hip hop had been on Proof of Life Radio at some point.
Okay.
And it's easier to get names that big on. It's like a 10-minute, 15-minute radio style interview.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more we did interviews, the more feedback we got from our guests. And it was the more feedback we got from our guests was that it was fascinating that we got super deep into conversations that they normally would not have the opportunity to get into. And we found that those completely overlapped with the ones that we found most satisfying. So that little by little became the show. And I want to say for a long time, we were casting a very, very wide net on like all of hip hop. We wanted to like kind of be a voice for all of hip hop. But at the same time, bringing in guests who weren't specifically hip hop artists that, you know, we could find some sort of overlap with, some sort of interesting content with. Like we had Rick Schlossman, remember the writer of the zombie, what was it called? The zombie...
Zombie Apocalypse?
No, not the Zombie Apocalypse. The Zombie Diaries or something?
Diaries.
Yeah. You know, we talked about zombies a lot back then. So, like, that was something that kind of came in. And so there was, like, a little bit of a Nerdist kind of feel to it back then. And, of course, there was a lot of Nerdist influence. That was the first podcast I ever listened to was a Nerdist.
Sure. I listened to a lot of Nerdist back in the day,
So the idea was to have, like, a hip-hop version of Nerdist, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Wow.
We never articulated it that way, but that's kind of what we were doing.
And it kind of became a hip-hop WTF.
Yeah.
Because it gets so personal, like which Mark Maron gets known for, but I feel like
totally right.
You guys are kind of doing it rather parallel to him too, though.
And I think like the what happened is what you're describing is having like different co-hosts that came in. Like we were kind of like I don't know. The way I describe it is like a DJ set, like a techno DJ set. You're kind of like tuning one knob, like, oh, do we like the kicks more on this? All right, let's bring in some more of the snares. Let's bring in some. So we went through a few different incarnations, and where it's at right now is the most consistent and the longest format it's been. This is sort of like, I think, where Crappy Awesome really found its voice was when we found this particular, it's difficult to describe, but this particular community of hip hop that's, you know, kind of interconnected through Southern California. Yeah. The independent hip hop scene, there's a kind of a sound to it. There's kind of a feel to it. We can't quite put our finger on it, but it is kind of interconnected. And this is sort of where we landed, and this is where it seems to be making the most sense. This is where the guests kept coming from, and this is where we're at.
To take it all the way back to the beginning, or what I think is one of the stages of the beginning, did the name Diego Brown Project come from you guys being two brown guys from San Diego?
Diego Brown.
Okay, that's a no.
I want to take a stab at telling it.
You want to go?
The Diego Brown was a group that Cire was in before I ever came along.
Okay.
Who's your partner?
Armando. No, Andy.
What was Andy's MC name?
Andres P.
Cire and Andres P.
Okay.
You guys were terrible at rapper names. Chris Reyes and Andres. Anyway, so that was what Diego Brown was, and like the name Diego Brown came from your mentor, right? Who had said, "We don't live in San Diego, we live in Diego Brown."
That is so good.
It's like the part of San Diego that nobody ever knows about. The non-postcard San Diego was the Diego Brown, and that's where we all lived. We lived in the Diego Brown.
Mind exploded. That is so. Proof of Life was actually one of the name of the parent company as well, wasn't it? Like Proof of Life Entertainment, or
because I think when we were making it, we were just like put entertainment at the end.
Proof of Life Entertainment.
Yeah, and then that meant like we have like a big company or something.
Because I've been trying to understand the evolution, so it's like
started off as Proof of Life Entertainment,
right? Which,
by the way, Eddie still like runs the production company Proof of Life, but it's just kind of on the shelf because it became something on its own. Like Kali fucked that up for us because he made that show popular, and now it's just the radio show. But it started off as Proof of Life, then it went to Crappy Awesome by itself, and then we started Platform Collection was just the blog Crappy Awesome. And then, like, later came, like, Wake the Flock Up. Later came Culture Session.
And Diego Brown was a little bit even before Proof of Life.
Yeah. The Diego Brown project, though, was another one of those ideas that I told you that just kind of popped into my head.
Yeah.
And it was about it was all revolving around Arash. It was about how to put Arash on stage with us, because I felt like that would be interesting. If he did something that wasn't musical but was still, we had like few incarnations where Arash would go up and just take pictures. Like he would try to capture the show, but it doesn't translate because it wasn't the pictures, you couldn't see them. We should have been like streaming them to like a screen, which would have been dope, right?
I so admire
we may still do that.
You guys tried to do that.
Yeah.
And so you would get on stage at shows with the Diego Brown
Dude, we did that opening up for Exhibit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. In Hawaii.
What? What?
We've had a few stories.
Oh man, that's wild.
Yeah, because part of the concept was, because I came on predominantly to do music videos, but I was also doing like photography and other visual stuff.
Oh, so you were kind of like the Muds to their east of the river,
right? No, and that's the thing. Like at that time, it was Chris's idea to put the photographer, the video director, into the group.
Yeah.
And make it part of it, and that's what we were presenting. Was that like, this is somewhere where the visual artist of the group is not somebody they hire from the outside to advertise the music. It's part of it. It's part of, right? Yeah, it's part of creating the music. And at that time, nobody had done that. Yeah. That was revolutionary. Then, like, little by little, things evolved the way that they did. The group went through different incarnations. Different people came and went.
Yeah, you can hear it.
But like now, we're seeing more and more that it's becoming more and more common in like the indie hip hop scene. And other people, I feel like, kind of came to it on their own. But at the time we did it, it was probably a little ahead of our time.
That was most of the shit I feel like we did.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the shit we did was a little too early. Had it happened like 2 years later, shit would have been huge.
But we did all the stuff that people are doing now. We did all the stuff like it's got to have been longer than 2 years ago. Like 5 years ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at time. I want to say like 5 years ago, we did a lot of stuff that like now is like become pretty normal.
More common.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, for sure right now, right? Like the trap stuff, like that where like the turn up, like a turn up mentality, just having more fun, that kind of shit was not accepted at all when we were doing it.
Being cheesy, being goofy.
Yeah, being funny. Yeah.
Something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I really wanted both of you here for this. I had to stop myself from asking each of you about it because I've been thinking about this so much since I've been delving into your work. Is because I think it's so relevant to the larger culture lately too. Like mantra culture and like the culture of positivity, the culture of like understanding the law of attraction and the things that you like attracting to yourself, like has become so entrenched in hip hop lately. But it's funny because it's like different people are learning it at different levels. So some people are already on that fourth wave feminist level with it, where it's like they completely are speaking in a way that's positive and inclusive to everybody. And there's other people who still have a lot of the old school ideas, but are still grasping ideas about like, oh, I can mantra myself into feeling better, and I can, like speak my reality into something better. And it's like, I wanted to know, like, what do you guys think of this kind of, I know that there was a lot of discussion, like, what is hip hop going to be about post gangster rap, like, and then part of a big chunk of it became about partying, and in a way that I don't think we foresaw how poisonous that could be. We were just so happy it wasn't about killing each other anymore, and then there's a big chunk of it that's also very much about the kind of stuff that you guys talk about, that's about like improve yourself, and even just like the kind of themes that I hear in Chris's music. Waking up was never the goal. Pain is not an issue. Be in touch with your emotions. Like it's so funny to me that like Tony Robbins and like self-help culture is like so much of the language of hip-hop now, and I see it as this opportunity. But I know you guys got to have thoughts on that because you guys think a lot about self-improvement. Let me say. This is for both of you, for real.
Let me say this. I think that the man to my left played a huge part in bringing that into our community, because he brought it into like our internal community, like us, like the crew, because I think we were all looking for it. He found a way. He showed us all these things that broke it down even more. Like, yo, there's a science to this. There's a way to look at this. There's a study. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't know that. Yeah. And so I think everybody that has come on the show, part of the thing that they love is not being used to being around someone like Arash, who will do that. He won't let you just give like the surface answer. Yeah. Because that part's not important to him.
Yeah.
And I think that was he brought a lot of that into what we do now.
Oh, man.
That's very interesting. I've never thought about it that
I
way.
agree.
Yeah, because I mean, on the show, there's so many things about where I'm at as an artist that have come to some extent from like laziness. Like, I started pushing. This is my memory of it. I started pushing the idea of doing a podcast early on because like I really hated the idea of coming in at the exact same time on Monday night and recording. Every Monday. I was like, God, it's another job. I have my fucking day job I got to go to. Then I got to go to another fucking job at 8 p.m. I fucking hate this. So I was like, hey, guys, what if we, record it like whatever we want? And then we can record and then we can release it little by little. Check out this podcast. And it was honestly, my driving factor was laziness. And then, just even like doing the interviews, like initially you and Ricochet, like it was 3 of us doing Crappy Awesome.
Oh, wow.
And Chris and Ricochet are both like fucking encyclopedias of hip hop.
Okay.
And I'm not an encyclopedia of anything. I know a bunch of random shit about a whole bunch of random shit, but I'm not like an expert in one specific field.
Okay.
People think it's movies, but I know like just enough about movies to know a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
And like
Have a good conversation.
Yeah. You have a conversation with like a legit cinephile. Like I don't
Has
know.
there ever been anybody more self-aware than you two motherfuckers?
I know just enough to make it seem like I know what I'm talking about. So when we would go into these interviews, honestly, a lot of times I was like super hungover. I didn't feel like preparing ahead of time. And I was like, all right, well, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make this fun for myself? I like connecting dots in like different fields, different environments. These 2 guys sitting over here are already fucking encyclopedias. Like I'm never going to be able to catch up to where they're at with their knowledge of what's going on now and with the history of hip hop, all this stuff. So I'm going to focus on the part that I can bring to the table, which is I can find connections. I can find ways to connect what we're talking about here to other things outside of hip hop.
The larger conversation.
Yeah. Larger conversation in art, in psychology.
That's why it trips me out that you guys, again, and it makes sense what you said earlier to answer this, but how you're not political. Yeah. Because it's like you do very much put the podcast in context with the larger world very often. You know?
Right, yeah.
You have to be political.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Very
I would argue that
you
I would argue that you both kind of are.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I think the only part that, like, for me, the trigger is just like we're not. I don't think Arash and I are ever trying to really convince.
You're not like mainstream political trying to have a. It's not the.
But we do have a
surface.
stance. Yeah,
it's not
we do
surface.
Have a stance.
You know, agreed.
And so just even going into the interviews, I was like, all right, I'm going to keep practicing this art of not knowing who I'm going to sit down with. And I'm going to make that better.
Just live in the moment.
Yeah. I'm just going to make that better. I'm going to focus on getting better. And then I was like, all right, well, if you don't, I would tell myself that. I'm like, if you don't know how to deal with this, then you're not really growing as a person. If you're like going to run away from it because you didn't do, earlier research, which by the way, that honing that talent became its own thing.
Yeah.
And then when I started Burner Podcast, it turned out to be it's such an important part of it because I'm constantly sitting down with people that you can't research that like that. It's not like the artists that we know where you can pull up their press kits and get to know their background and this and that. I can't really do that with a lot of people that I sit down with.
Well, this guy is with this illegal frog in a village and you don't know about him until I tell you about him.
You got no Wikipedia page.
Yeah, so it was, it's interesting. So, I mean, so that kind of got me into bringing more, and mind you, you even were saying earlier in the interview about the darker times that I'd gone through. And, having Chris in my life, going through during these extremely dark periods was extremely important, and having this little crew that became my family, and, they were with me through, Rick Scales is calling me.
I told him that I was hanging. You should actually,
okay. All right, let's answer.
Come through.
Let me just put him on. Rick, you're speaking to a Mr. Arash. You're on Crappy Awesome podcast right now.
Wiggity.
What up, man?
Just out here being crappy and awesome at the same goddamn time. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. Yo, you rolling through or something or what?
Yeah, what's happening?
I'm still here.
We're just finishing up the interview.
Yeah, we're recording. We're finishing up the interview right now.
me the address and I'll pull up. So
because I'm gonna take him to grab some
Okay.
after. So
Hell yeah.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do that. The infamous Rick Scales, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Rick
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Fate Nasty.
The undefeated Lick. Is it still undefeated, right?
Yep.
He might have been defeated once or twice. All right, I'll hit you up in a minute. Later, brother.
So in that sense, Crappy Awesome has been a sociological experiment this whole time, because we're going to throw in this like mental and spiritual health, guru in training, Arash, and he's just going to be here in the moment and pick at you in a good way too.
Again, that's all stuff that I had to learn because I was trying to get out of whatever that dark place was in my life. And
wow.
I mean, that's so, again, like having Chris in my life had been like just huge important factor. He's been a mentor to me. He was so watching, like getting through, being a part of the journey with them, and being able to watch where they'd come from and learning from all the things that they already done on the Proof of Life journey had basically got me to where I'm at in my next step. And I'm happy to see that all the things that I learned during this experience, following them and learning from them, ended up feeding back into the machine, and making it what it's become.
Oh man, okay. I'll wrap up with one last query for both of you guys, and that's is there like because as you could probably tell as we spoke, I try to identify what I think are bigger themes in your guys' work, bigger questions that your stuff hints at. Is there a big curiosity that you guys have that you feel like we didn't really touch on that maybe you'd like to speak to?
One, I'd like to say this, and this is for all the listeners. If you guys aspire to be an interviewer, always throw that question in at the end. Because it saves you in case you forgot anything. It's very good. He's trying to maximize the value of this interview. It's amazing. That's what you should do. But no, man, I think you hit it all. We got a lot of dope stuff coming. I'm excited about the stuff coming as far as platform collection. I'm not exactly sure when this is coming out, but I think it'll be enough time. We're partnering, and this is the first time Arash is here. This guy we just locked this in. We're going to be partnering with Curtis King. If you guys don't know, Curtis King made it to number 4 on the iTunes charts last year. We've analyzed we analyzed what he did. He's analyzed what he's done. We're both completely confident that we're going to push him to number 1 this year. And Platform Collection is going to partner with him in a journey to that, and we're going to document that journey for you guys to see. And hopefully everybody will get behind Curtis because he's one of ours, and he can blow the doors wide open for everybody. And Platform Collection is going to play a really big part, and we'll reveal more as we get closer to it. But sometime in December, you're going to see something huge coming from Curtis King and Platform Collection. So that's a big thing on that's coming soon. And also, I think we're going to revolutionize the way you support touring artists. We got some really big ideas for that. And I want people to, when they start to see that roll out, they're going to understand why there's a way to honestly help artists and still benefit whatever brand that you're representing or whatever in an honest way. And I think we're going to find a new way to structure that. So I think that will ensure that a lot of the people that you see coming through Platform Collection, you'll be able to see them in your town now, because we're going to try to get them out there on the road so that you can see them, and thus then they can help spread the word,
Oh my goodness, that's
he's just handing me the mic.
I want to say that your guys' partnership and your chemistry, it really brings a really unique flavor to the show. I'm always honored to be involved and acknowledged. And, I'm real good knowing that you guys are out there doing what you do, keeping people honest, letting people know that there are thoughtful, very thoughtful, deep people that are looking at their work and looking at what they say and reminding them of its cultural importance.
Can I just say, yes, I would like to say, like, I think the magic of what we enjoy the most is really showing people that they are very deep, thoughtful people.
Yes.
I think, like, that's always being able to dissect, like, what they're doing and what they're working on and make the connections and show what it is. Like, that's, for me, that's the most gratifying part. And that's the thing that we always see is to see somebody look at what they're working on themselves and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize how dope that was.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's pretty much, that's the payoff for us.
Right. I'm so glad that you guys are out there, and I'm so glad that you guys are putting out content, and that you guys care about what the scene and the artistic independent community is doing. I'm Tanjint the Wiggy Woo with WestCoastAvengers.com, and this has been crappy awesome.
Excellent. Oh, you may now. You should do that.
Oh, I get to?
Yeah, you should do that.
This is a dream come true, guys. You may now flush the toilet.
Brought to you by PlatformCollection.com.